In the misty highlands of ancient China, where clouds cling to mountain temples like silk veils, there wandered a monk unlike any other. His robes shimmered with an otherworldly glow, and those who glimpsed his face could never quite recall its features. The villagers called him the fairy Bonze, for no earthly ascetic moved with such grace or spoke with such quiet authority over the spirits that haunt the living world. The Bonze carried but one treasure, a Buddhist robe of extraordinary craftsmanship, woven from threads that seemed to catch starlight even beneath the noonday sun. Legend held that the robe had been gifted by celestial hands, stitched not by mortals, but by divine weavers in the palaces of heaven. Whoever wore it could walk between the world of the living and the realm of spirits, untouched by demons, untroubled by ghosts. One autumn evening, as the Bonze sheltered in a crumbling wayside shrine, a traveler named Een approached, shivering and desperate. Een was a merchant of modest means, honest but weary from misfortune. The Bonze offered him shelter and shared his meager rice. In gratitude, Een bowed deeply, and the monk studied his face with an expression of distant sorrow, as though reading a fate already written in some celestial ledger. That night the Bonze dreamed. In his vision, a radiant goddess descended from a palace of jade and gold, her garments trailing like rivers of moonlight. She spoke of a great wrong committed generations ago, a temple desecrated, her statue cast into the river by a greedy warlord. Her voice was the sound of temple bells, and her eyes burned with a cold, patient fury that had waited centuries for justice. The goddess named the Een family as descendants of that warlord, though they knew nothing of their ancestors' crime. The weight of that ancient sin had settled upon their household like a curse. One by one, she warned, misfortune would strip away everything they held dear until nothing remained but ashes and the memory of what had been stolen. The Bonze woke trembling, for her decree had been absolute and her wrath was righteous. Word spread through the countryside of a wonderful man who could heal the sick with a touch and calm raging rivers with a whispered prayer. Some said he was the fairy Bonze himself. Others claimed he was a spirit made flesh, sent to walk among mortals as a test of their compassion. The afflicted journeyed from distant provinces, and those who came with open hearts found themselves healed, while the greedy departed empty-handed. In a city nearby, the local god of the city, Wall, grew troubled. He was a minor deity, responsible for the welfare of the townspeople, and he watched the Een family's decline with mounting alarm. Old Master Een, the patriarch, had once been prosperous, his granaries full. Now his crops withered, his herds fell ill, and strange shadows gathered at the edges of his property each night, as though the earth itself recoiled from his family's presence. The city god appeared to the Bonze in a dream, his armor dusty, his face lined with the weariness of a protector who could not protect. He explained the curse plainly. Generations past, the Een ancestor had sacked a riverside temple, melted its bronze for weapons, and hurled the goddess's sacred statue into the deepest pool of the river. Until the statue was restored, no prayer of his could lift the curse. The tragedy of the Een family unfolded with terrible precision. First, the eldest son drowned when his boat overturned in calm water. Then the youngest daughter fell into a fever no physician could name, crying out about a pale woman standing at her bedside. The warehouses burned on a windless night. Old Master Een, once a pillar of the community, now sat alone in his courtyard, staring at empty rafters, his spirit broken. Among the few who refused to abandon the Een household was a loyal servant named Sam Chung, a broad-shouldered young man of simple faith and uncommon courage. He had grown up in the Een household, raised on Master Yin's kindness, and he would not turn away now. When the Bonze passed through the village, Sam Chung sought him out, falling to his knees and begging for any guidance that might save the family he loved. The Bonze told Samchung that the goddess's statue lay at the bottom of the Black Dragon Pool, a deep and treacherous stretch of river haunted by a water demon. This demon had guarded the statue for centuries, growing powerful from the desecration, feeding on the sorrow it caused. To retrieve the statue, Samchung would have to face the creature in its own domain, beneath the dark water where no sunlight reached and no mortal had ever returned. Samchung did not hesitate. He fasted for 3 days to purify his body, then walked to the Black Dragon Pool at dawn. The water was black as polished obsidian, and a cold mist rose from its surface. He could feel something watching from the depths, ancient and hungry. Gripping a rope the Bonze had blessed, Samchung whispered a prayer and plunged into the freezing dark, the water closing over him like a fist. Deep beneath the surface, the water demon rose to meet him. It had the body of a serpent and the face of a drowned man, its eyes glowing with a sickly green light. It coiled around Samchung, squeezing the air from his lungs, whispering promises of peace if only he would surrender. But Samchung thought of old Master Een, of the children who had drowned, of the daughters' fevered cries, and he held fast to the blessed rope. The rope flared with golden light, and the demon recoiled, shrieking in a voice like grinding stones. In the creature's moment of weakness, Samchung saw it. The statue of the goddess, half buried in river silt, her stone face serene despite centuries of submersion. He seized her with both hands, and the blessed rope hauled him upward through the black water, the demon's howls fading beneath him as he surged toward the distant light of the surface. Samchung dragged the statue ashore, gasping and trembling but alive. The Bonze received it with reverent hands and carried it back to the ruined temple, where it was restored to its rightful pedestal. Offerings were made, prayers were chanted, and the goddess's wrath began to soften. Within the year, the Een household mended. New crops grew, healthy children were born, and the shadows that had plagued the property retreated to the forest's edge and troubled them no more. The fairy Bonze vanished as mysteriously as he had appeared, leaving behind only the lesson of his passing. That benevolence, even when it demands the greatest sacrifice, carries a power no curse can withstand. Samchung's devotion was not born of duty, but of love, and that made all the difference. In Chinese folklore, this tale endured